Hey, everybody. Welcome to our podcast, Frenemies, joined as always by David Swor. I am DJ Cox. We have a couple special guests tonight. First one being Lindsey Cox, my daughter, who unfortunately is a White Sox fan. That's why she's here, because you're not going to get very much positivity out of me. So you're going to need a little bit of that from her to provide that for you.
Actually, DJ, I just got to tell the truth. That's not why she's here. It's because she knows more about baseball than you do. It's obvious. So we had to bring on a real expert, somebody that actually knew what they were talking about this time.
Well, whatever the case is, she's here because nice things are not going to be said about this White Sox team about me very much. So we try to give our fans what they want. You know, the White Sox fans are going to be joining in to listen to this podcast, and they're going to think, you know, we're going to talk good about the White Sox. So I'm going to leave that up to you and Lindsey. I'll definitely talk about their weaknesses. I'll be glad to chime in here and there about some different things they got going on here. So I will be involved a little bit, but for the most part, you know, I'll kind of let you two talk a little bit about this, and we'll chime in here and there. But this is obviously my least favorite team in the entire world.
Listen, before we get into anything, I need you to explain that. I don't understand that. So it's a hometown team. I mean, why are you hating on somebody from Chicago?
We can come together when the Bears, you know, are playing and the Bulls and the Blackhawks, but baseball here, man, it's split.
I mean, they're not even in the same league or anything. Like, they don't even play. Well, I guess they play a little bit in interleague play, but
Exactly.
come on, man.
Give Indianapolis a team. You know, they need one, don't they? I mean,
What
come
kind of
on.
Canadian are you?
And throw them down to Indianapolis, or give Montreal a team back, or I don't know. Hawaii should get a pro sports team. They could throw the White Sox out there. You know, I don't know. Alaska'd be fun. You get daylight all day, right?
This guy's rambling. Let's move on. Wow. I'm sorry, Lindsey. Hijacking the show.
All right. So, David, I'll let you start here. We'll kick it off with a little recap of the 2019 Chicago White Sox season.
All right. So, the White Sox last year were 72 and 89. I think they were actually a little better than expected. They were obviously in the middle of a rebuild. You agree, Lindsey?
I agree.
They are actually a very exciting team. You know, I was looking through their stats from last year, and dude, they got some studs. So, Lindsey, I've got to ask you this question.
Okay.
Which team has the brighter future in Chicago right now? Is it the White Sox or the Cubs, and why?
The White Sox.
It's definitely the White Sox. Man, look at these young players they got. Tim Anderson won a batting title. Yohan Moncada, did I say his name right, his first name? Yeah. He potential MVP candidate this year. They have Vegas odds on his MVP candidacy. Eloy Jimenez, 31 bombs last year. Oh, yeah. And then they got some guys coming up who are looking pretty special. Of course, Giolito last year had a really good year. The White Sox only problem was they had no pitching. They actually 8th in the league in hitting last year. They were hitting some bombs. Jose Abreu had an awesome year, as usual, 123 RBIs. They had a surprise all-star in James McCann, and he's back, and he's back up now. Who has 2 all-star catchers? Nobody. And so I'm going to be honest, DJ, I'm really liking the White Sox going forward.
I agree.
I hate to hear that, man. Of course you would. Of course you would be on that side of this show. Of course you would say these things you just said. This is gonna set the tone for the show, because I was kind of wondering how you felt about this team. But I've got a lot of questions for White Sox fans, and I'm intrigued by the talks we're gonna have about this team tonight. And you guys are gonna have to prove a few things to me, because I'm just not seeing some things out of this team. So I'll recap a little bit for the 2019 for me. They finished in 3rd place. I mean, what is that? They didn't even come close to having a winning record.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
What place did the Cubs finish in last year?
Exactly. Thank you.
But we had a winning record. Yeah.
That doesn't matter when it comes
Yeah.
to
So okay. So Tim Anderson won the batting title. Okay. They got rid of their best pitcher, and the guys that they got back for him haven't proved anything yet. Michael Kopech doesn't even pitch, doesn't want to pitch. Yohan Moncada, I mean, yeah, he's got Vegas odds to win MVP this year, but
Wait a minute.
he hasn't done much either.
Wait a minute. You saying Yohan Moncada is overrated?
I'm saying he hasn't done very much in his career yet, David.
Wait.
He hit 315 last year with 25 bombs.
Exactly.
DJ, do you actually follow baseball?
I don't get it.
I don't even know what to say about Lindsey. Let's talk about Yohan Moncada. He's a stud, right?
He is.
My goodness. Give him a little bit of credit. You can at least say they have some good players.
Exactly.
I mean, they got
Top team farm system. Giolito, one of the top young arms. I'm with you on Kopech. But he did have Tommy John, so he might as well just took the year off. I get it. They're not going to win this year. Or he had an injury. I don't know if it was Tommy John, but he had an injury. So, okay. And then they picked up Keuchel, man. I'm a secret Keuchel fan. I like me some Dallas Keuchel.
Where's the Giolito love coming from? I'm not getting that either. We're going to get into this, but.
Well, I mean, he had a nice year last year, 3.49 ERA. I mean, is he an ace? Probably not. He was billed that way at one point. But is he a good number 3 starter? Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. 14 wins last year.
Well, we'll see. He's the ace. I mean, I don't know where that comes from, but we'll see, I guess.
He had a big pedigree. He's a hard thrower. I'm thinking, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm thinking he's only like 24 maybe, 25, 176 innings last year. I'm big on my innings, guys. DJ, 228 strikeouts in 176 innings. What's up with that?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, he was the All-Star Game starter last year. So he had a good first half. I think he fizzled out a little bit towards the end there. So David, what do you got? I mean, I know you've been kind of hyping a little bit here. What do you think is the biggest 2020 strength then? What should White Sox fans be excited about for this year?
I love their lineup, man. They picked up Edwin Encarnacion, stud. They got the batting title returning. Jose Abreu's awesome. They added Yasmani Grandal. He's a great catcher. It's funny, though. James McCann, this is my question for you and Lindsey. What are the White Sox going to do with James McCann? Because statistically, he was better than Grandal last year. He had more wins above replacement. Now, Grandal, I guess, is the defensive wizard, and I'm a Grandal fan. But when I like to look at wins above replacement, trying to project the future for them a little bit, and McCann was actually better. So if I'm McCann, I'm kind of throwing a stink eye at that a little bit, like, wait a minute. So what do you think the deal is there?
So there's a obvious position battle we'll get to later on that we'll talk about. I mean, you got two all-star catchers, and it goes back to what we were talking about with the Cubs. They're in a situation where they got 4 really good catchers, and the White Sox have 3 pretty good catchers, and so there's no shortage of good catching in the city of Chicago. That's for sure. I will give you that. And
South side.
Yeah. I mean, because Zach Collins is another guy that's coming up for these guys. They're real high on. That's another catcher that they can throw in at first base a little bit too. But so you got 3 catchers there that can do some things and cause some damage. And yeah, like you said, man, McCann made the All-Star team last year and found himself on the bench because he's not DHing. I mean, unless Encarnacion's, I mean, he's 142 years old, so he's going to need a few days off, but not many,
So. 40 homers. I mean, you bet left-handed and hit 40 homers. You can't stop him. He's going to hit homers.
He is going to hit bombs. There's no doubt about it. So, Lindsey, what do you got for strengths for this team?
I definitely think that Eloy Jimenez actually, sorry, is he can kill the ball. He can absolutely kill the ball. Actually, yesterday they actually beat the Cubs, and
It gets better all the time.
he hit a grand slam, so he's doing pretty good
Yes.
so far.
Hey, and if I'm not mistaken, didn't they lock him up early?
They did. That was the trade that we traded Jose Quintana over for Eloy Jimenez, a very rare north side, south side trade. Does not happen very often at all. Probably I can only count like 3 or 4 in the entire time I've been alive for trades from these two teams. It does not happen for obvious reasons. So the jury's still out. You know, a lot of people think they won this trade with Eloy. He's a stud. We got Q out of it, so I get it. But unless Q really steps up in the next couple of years, I'm pretty sure we're going to lose that trade. But, you know, it's just like a White Sox fan here to, you know, love on the preseason games. You know, we'll see what it's like when the real games start. And a lot of White Sox fans been talking a lot the last couple of days when they win these preseason games that we've been in for 5 months now. So now it's time to go starting Friday. So we'll see what kind of team we get out of these guys.
DJ, I'm afraid that y'all might win the battle this year, but you're not going to win the war. It's looking good down the line, man.
So it is a big thing every year. So it's going to be very interesting in a 60-game season to see who gets more wins out of the Cubs and White Sox. This is obviously a big rivalry and a lot of trash talking. A lot of families are divided here, and you know ours is definitely, with my wife being a White Sox fan too. And Devin's a Cubs fan. You know, we split right down the middle. And so it's going to be fun, man. That's for sure, because baseball's back, buddy. And it's always a great time in the city of Chicago when both teams are good. That does make it better. I will hand that to you. That does make it better when both teams are competing and playing really well, as opposed to one of the teams being really bad. So that's that. From that perspective, it's really fun. It makes things a lot more interesting. Both fan bases are in it. And it's not just one team's completely out of it and they don't really care anymore. That's not as fun to pick on a team that's in last place. So, so David, what do you got for some weaknesses here?
It's definitely their starting pitching. But you know, I actually like their bullpen pretty good. I'm not like in love with it, but I can see their bullpen being a streak. Alex Colomé had a great season last year, 30 saves, 2.80 ERA. But, you know, their rotation needs some work. They picked up Dallas Keuchel, which I think was a really good ad. They got Giolito, you know, which we talked about him. He's a 2 or 3 starter probably. And it looks like they're going to depend this year on Dylan Cease. Is that how you say his name?
Yep.
You know, jury's still out on him. Again, young. Reynaldo Lopez, I believe he came over from the Nationals, if I'm thinking correctly. But he had a high ERA last year. He's going to be in the rotation. Pitched a lot of innings for him, but just didn't do that well. So they could use a couple more starters. And to be honest with you, man, I really feel like they're 2 starters from being a playoff team. I'm serious when I say that. I don't know what Kopech's going to do for him, but if he were to be an ace and then they add one more guy after that, like next year, I'm telling you, man, White Sox are dangerous. But their starting pitching is pretty bad. What do you got, Lindsey?
I agree with that. Dylan Cease I think he has some potential in him. I really do. He will come around and he will end up being a good pitcher and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, they could really use some work on that.
So yeah, your good point about Kopech, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, man. If they had Kopech in this rotation, I would feel 100% better about it. This guy, of all the pitchers that they've got, when he's been coming up through the system here and pitching a little bit, this guy is nasty. He throws over 100 miles an hour. He just went down with the arm injury, like we talked about. Everybody's got to go through it, David. Here's another example. The more we talk about that, and all these teams that you see, the more that the reality of that is everybody's got to go through it, unfortunately, especially when you throw that hard. And that stinks,
Right.
man, because I can't imagine it. I know you unfortunately avoided that in your life as a pitcher, but you know, a lot of pitchers are going to get this, and that's the fortunate part about being a pitcher is you're going to go through it more normally once in your career. He's going to come back from it. I believe he's going to be just as strong. And if the White Sox had him this year, I'm being honest about this, I would have really liked their chances in the Central. Since he's not there, I'm a little more worried about their pitching. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is just from trying not to be as biased as I can on this. So, Dylan Cease, I'm just going to go over some career numbers as to why you can be a little skeptical. Dylan Cease, 4-7, 5.79 ERA. Renato Lopez, career 25-31 with a 4.67 ERA. Gio Gonzalez is a 500 pitcher in the last 2 seasons. If they plug in Carlos Rodon, he is very hurt, very injury prone. 29-31 with a 4.08 in his career. Giolito is just 1 win above 500 at 27-26. He's got a 4.60 ERA for his career. And Dallas Keuchel is 20-19 in his last 2 seasons. So that's hard to get hyped for that. Like, I know there's a lot of guys in there that you know the names and you know the potential of some young arms in there, but it's not to be proven yet, and that's just fact based off the statistics. They're not there with the statistics, and it's really a weakness for this team. With that offense that they got, they're going to have to pitch it. They're going to have to pitch it to win a division and to make a playoff spot. If they do get the pitching, this team's going to be dangerous. It really is. So I will not deny that, but I definitely think that's their weakness.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's talk about Rodon a little bit. So, very hyped prospect. I doubt we'll see him this year. I think he had Tommy John as well. If we did, it'll be later on. But if I'm not mistaken, he's a triple digits thrower. He was showing some really good signs. I don't have the stats in front of me before he went down. So what's the story on Rodon?
Rodon was a starter for them for a while, showed a lot of potential, has a nasty slider, just ball moves a ton out of his hand. This guy, you probably saw him pitch a lot in college, to be honest with you. The College World Series, he'd pitch a lot. This guy's pretty good, and he's just got a lot of arm issues recently, and he's gone down, and you know, they're hoping to get him back, you know, pretty soon and try to get him out of the bullpen, work him back into a starter. I believe that if he was healthy, he would be in this rotation. He would knock one of the guys out. But that's unfortunate for them. You know, if they would have him healthy and had him going all along here, and as much as they've been relying on him, he just really, to be honest with you, he's shown signs of greatness, but he hasn't been consistent, and the injuries have held him back a lot. So Rodon is an option for them if he ever comes back to full strength to be able to get back into this rotation and be a part of this mix.
So look ahead to 2021. I'm just going to say this. So if Rodon comes back, and if Kopech's a stud, and if they got maybe one more pitcher, dude, I'm telling you, the White Sox are knocking on the door. And the thing is that the Indians are kind of going the other direction. I think they're kind of getting to the end of their little run here. They're going to start the rebuilding clock. So the White Sox, it looks like, are going to have an opening to kind of make a move in that division. Like I said, not this year. I'm not banking it all on this year. But next year, no, man. It's going to be interesting. And I just heard, I got to throw this in there. I was listening to MLB today. I was in the car literally all day. I had to make a 3-hour trip today. And they were talking about the Cubs and the crossroads that they're at this year and what's going to happen with them. Are they going to break the team up and start all over? This is going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting offseason. I'm really looking forward to it.
No, they're fine.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know. But they're talking about, you know, what would happen if the trade market's going to suck this year, because what team's going to cash in a bunch of prospects to win this year? And so they were talking about how they're not going to be able to trade Chris Bryant and really get anything back. And like I said, this team's at a crossroads. They said that they're needing money, so they need to shave payroll. And, you know, They were just talking about how it would be a time to tear down. So it'll be interesting.
Can't tear down with all those studs that they got. They got to keep 2 out of the 3. I'll give you that. They're going to lose one of Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez. One of those 3 is going to go when their contract's up. That we're already kind of preparing for, which is unfortunate. You know, with Schwarber being available to do DH duty now, I think he's going to stick around for a long time. So I'm not buying it. I think, you know, we go out and get a pitcher or 2, and with our lineup, we'll be good.
Quintana and Lester are gone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple pitchers in that rotation that we're hoping to get enough out of in this season to get us by in a 60-game season and carry us through. And then after this year, we're going to have to go do some shopping. There's no doubt about that. So I would love to keep talking Cubs on this. Just keep going, man. I love this. What else you got for me, Cubs-wise?
We're good. I just thought that was interesting today. I was hearing Steve Phillips talk about it. It was a good time.
All right, so what do you got, David, for your best case scenario for the 2020 White Sox? What could White Sox fans at the very best expect from a team this year?
3rd place. And I'm going to go ahead and ruin my weakness or my downside answer. That's 3rd place too. I think this is just where they are. They're significantly better than the lower half of their division, but they're a little ways away from the upper half. Now, having said that, I went to Fangraphs today, and they're projecting them in 3rd place, but not by much. They're projecting them to have a winning record. I think it was 33-27, and just a game or 2 out of 2nd place. I'm probably not that bullish on them. I'm figuring right around 500, maybe even a game or 2 under. But they're building for next year. That's not a secret. That's not a secret in the Cubs organization. In the White Sox organization, Rick Hahn has been saying that. I went back and read some articles from last year. Last year was supposed to be a complete rebuild. It was just a little better. It went a little better than anticipated. This is step 2. I think they did make some steps towards contention, some smart moves, and I think they're going to really look to contend next year. I bet they're going to open the bank and sign a pitcher, but 3rd place.
Lindsey, you're a White Sox fan. In all honesty, you've got the Twins, the Indians, who are favored a little bit above them. Do you really believe that this team can finish above one of those 2 teams and maybe sneak a wild card this year? Think they can get in the playoffs? What are your thoughts as a fan?
Yes, I absolutely believe that they can get in the playoffs. But the only thing is, I think that they might have a tad bit trouble with the Twins. That's the only problem. But the Indians, I don't think that'll be a problem at all. They'll just be off the board after they. So I don't know. I mean,
we need to do the Indians and Twins next. I'm gonna be honest with you because I looked around a little bit at that. And the Twins do have a couple holes, but I just still think they're a little bit too strong for the White Sox. They got some really good young pitching. You know, assuming no injuries to one of those top pitchers, I think the Indians are still just a smidge better. But hey, if I was a fan, I would say the same thing. I think it's possible, I guess is what I'm saying.
okay.
So I'm going to go for best case scenario. I'm really going to say 2nd place as well. I think that they maybe can jump the Indians. I don't believe they can jump the Twins. She said it really good, actually. You know, that's best case scenario. I don't believe it. I also believe they're a 3rd place team. I really do. I think that's kind of where they're going to fall into this division. And like you said, though, David, you made a good point. I think the Indians are really starting to trend downward. And they're going to start getting taken over by the White Sox here pretty soon. And then the White Sox, like Lindsey said, are going to be battling with the Twins for years to come here because the Twins are going after it, and they're playing really well. So I agree. That's a very good point, and that's what I'm going to go with. So you already gave away your answer as to the worst case scenario. Did you want to add anything to the worst case scenario?
No, I'll just say that, you know, worst case scenario would obviously be some injuries and that kind of thing. But even with that, the Royals and the Tigers are so bad. I just don't think they're going to fall that far. There's just too much talent in that lineup. So I can't see them being any worse than 3rd.
So she makes a good point. The Royals and Tigers, she's over here saying they're terrible. She knows that. Okay, so you battle them a lot in your division. You beat them up a lot. Okay, now you're going to go to the NL Central and play your crossovers, where that's a tough one. You got 4 out of those 5 teams in that NL Central are tough, so they're going to have to beat some good teams down there, and it's going to be rough for them a little bit, I believe, but I'm going to say for their worst case scenario is 3rd place. Best case, 2nd. Worst case, 3rd, because there's no way this team is going to finish below the Royals and the Tigers. It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
There's no way. So that's the bottom. I think the top would be 2nd place. But, like you said, if things keep going well for them, unfortunately, this team's coming. So, all right, David. So you let's get into this a little bit. So you mentioned this a little bit earlier. So what do you want to go with for position battle?
I'm really interested with second base. They got Lurie Garcia penciled in there, but right behind him is their second best prospect, Nick Madrigal. Hit .331 at AAA last year. Honestly, of course, I'm not a scout. I've not seen any White Sox baseball other than when they played the Yankees at all. Push him in. Put him in the game, man. That's where I'm at. Lurie Garcia seems to be a nice player. He seems to be more of a utility player, just a little bit that I've looked at him. Madrigal looks like he could be a stud. And honestly, they need a guy like Madrigal. The White Sox strike out a ton. They need somebody to put the ball in play. And Madrigal seems to be, according to his stats, that guy. And so I'm really interested to see. And like I said, man, the core of this team is as good as anybody's. If Madrigal is as good as he looks like he's going to be, Madrigal, Moncada, Jimenez, man, they still have Abreu. They got Luis Robert coming in, one of the top prospects in baseball. I mean, the White Sox have done a fantastic job building a good young core. But that second base is going to be really interesting. What do you got, Lindsey?
I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's gonna be a really interesting battle. I mean, trying to think here. So they do have 2 prospects, like you just said. They're gonna still be battling for that. But I really think that if Nick comes out and he's still putting the ball in play and stuff, he's definitely gonna win it by that. But I just think.
Is Madrigal on the roster? Do we know? I haven't looked at it to see if they're carrying him or not.
They're not carrying him on the regular roster, but he could end up being a guy that comes in. He's on their full roster, so
I bet that's a service time.
Yeah, it might be, and I don't know if service times is like too much of a factor right now with this times we're going through. But to be honest with you, I think you're right. I really do. I was thinking about this today, and Madrigal's, he's the darling of the farm system, and why would you not bring him up and put him in there? Like you said, Garcia is the guy in that lineup that I look at and go, not really a fan at all. So that's a good point. I'm gonna go with your catcher point you made earlier. You got 2 guys that are all-stars, really. Grandal and McCann. You got to find some time for both of them, and this is gonna be interesting how Rick Renteria does this with them too. And you're not gonna sit Edwin Encarnacion because that guy can hit 3 bombs every game, and that's just legit. So I would never sit him in the lineup ever. So, and I'm not gonna put him out in the to play defense either. So. That's out of the question with Encarnacion. So he's got to figure that out. That's a big-time battle there. Grandal's a little streaky. He kind of disappears in the playoffs, let's be honest with you. He did it for the Dodgers a lot. He was terrible in the playoffs with them. He really was. He drove me absolutely nuts, and Austin Barnes just overtook him. Dave Roberts got sick of him, put in Austin Barnes, and Austin Barnes did a lot of the catching for the Dodgers there. For a while there. So that's what worries me about Grandal is in the big games, he did not step up. And so when the White Sox got him, yeah, he's great and everything, but if this White Sox team is going to take the next step, make the playoffs, you better wake up and start hitting in the playoffs because he has not done that at all in his career. So that's going to be a battle. It's going to be something that Renteria is going to have to figure out, and we'll go from there. So, all right, David, so we'll switch over to this team did a lot in the offseason, as we know. So I'm going to talk about their key additions, and I'm going to have you give me the one name that you like the most out of the guys that they got. This is interesting because they did a lot this offseason to improve this team. So which one do you think? Yasmani Grandal, Edwin Encarnacion, Nomar Maraza, who we haven't mentioned yet, who's a big-time hitter for the Rangers. I believe he's hit the statistically longest home run at the Rangers field in history. He can mash. He can hit the ball really far. Dallas Keuchel, Gio Gonzalez, and Steve Cishek.
So without looking at any stats, I thought Grandal was going to be the biggest addition, and merely because we know he handles pitchers well. But after I looked at the stats and realized what McCann did, I'm going to go with Dallas Keuchel. And I told you, I've kind of been a secret Dallas Keuchel fan. I wanted the Yankees to sign him last year when it got late. They needed a pitcher. And Keuchel is just known for being a gamer. You know, he's only 2 years removed from 14-5 and a 2.90 ERA. He, I believe, won a Cy Young in 2015. So he's got some pedigree. He's got some grit. I like pitchers with grit. And the White Sox obviously need pitching. He's a grinder. He ought to be a good mentor for guys like Giolito and Kopech and some of these guys kind of coming up. But, man, I think the White Sox had an A-plus offseason. It would be easy to say it was Edwin Encarnacion, Mr. 40 home runs. We've talked about this before. Going to have a Hall of Fame case. I'm not saying he is a Hall of Fame. He's going to have a case. So I thought they had a really nice offseason. Cishek was a nice addition, to be honest with you. Their bullpen, it definitely lengthened it, having Cishek in there. They got Bummer and the closer there. His name just slipped me. But they've got a pretty good 7, 8, 9 punch right there. So, like I said, I want to give the White Sox an A+.
That's definitely an awesome offseason. I'm going to go with Encarnacion. I think that this guy just hitting at, this field all the time, just he can mash. And I agree with you at the Hall of Fame case because he's going to be an interesting one when that topic comes up with him. And he's done nothing but hit home runs. He drives in a ton of runs every year. Like you said, man, you can count on it. Every year he's going to hit 30 or 40 bombs. And so he can just mash. And I think it was a great addition to this lineup that's already pretty solid. He added a big bat in there too. So, man, all those guys, every single one of those guys, I'm not going to lie to you, all of them are going to contribute in a big way. And they've done a good job. Not a lot of times when we read through the key ads on some of these teams, you get one or two guys that you're like, oh, that was really good. And then like 4 or 5, they're like, geez, okay, whatever. But every name that I mentioned, they're solid and all going to contribute and be a big part of what they do this year and for the future as well. So David, what do you think as far as the key losses for this team is? They got Ivan Nova, Yolmer Sanchez, Hector Santiago, John Jay, James Shields.
I mean, I guess if I had to pick somebody, it would be Nova. And the only reason why I say Nova is they could use him in the back end of that rotation. He's better than whoever their 5th guy is. But they're not going to miss any of those guys. I don't think anyway. What do you think?
So I think Nova's the only guy too. Yolmer, Lindsey's got a little story about Yolmer Sanchez here. She can tell you real quick. You got that ready?
Yeah.
So Yolmer's one of the guys they're going to get rid of here. And I think it's Nova. He's not that big a part of anything. I think all the guys they have in the rotation are better than him, have a higher ceiling. I would go with him over Nova. So I agree, man. Nobody else. But go ahead, Linz.
Okay, so me and Dad, you try to go to a White Sox game every year, right? So we went on September 24th of 2018, and so you know how we always try to go down to see all the players and stuff and try to get signed balls or whatever. So all of a sudden, out of like nowhere, Yolmer Sanchez, he comes up and he's like, "Oh, do you want me to sign your ball?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." And so I have that actually with me right here. He signed that, and then he came back around and he was taking pictures with everybody. So I was like, "Oh, sweet, I'll just get a picture with him." So I have a picture with him too here.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was fun. I mean, not.
So how many autographs do you have in total? Do you know?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
She's got a ton, man.
Hold on. 4.
She's got a ton. So while she keeps thinking of that, Yolmer, man, you know, he's not a big loss for them by any means. He was a good player. So they're, you know, Louis Garcia there too. At second base, you know, so I'm not sure what they're doing there. I'm with you on the whole Madrigal thing. I really think that's what they got to do there and move on with second base. And Yolmer Sanchez, not too big of them, but good story from her, man. So how many do you think?
At least have 10.
She at least has 10.
Nice. How many does your dad have? Nope.
Zero from going to actual games. He's actually got signed signatures by like gifts and stuff, but he's never actually got one in real life.
Your dad's really nervous. I don't know if you knew it. He's just really nervous. His hands get all sweaty, and his voice, it kind of goes like a mouse when he needs to talk to him. So you need to hook him up and get him some autographs. He's really having a tough time.
Oh man, yeah. So let's go with the farm, man. What do you got for any farm guy?
Well, top 10 system by almost anybody's rating. 4 top 100 prospects, and they're not only 4 top 100 prospects, but 1, 2, 3 of those are in the top 20, which are Robert, Vaughn, which is a first baseman, and Kopech, who we've talked about. And then Madrigal is number 40. Robert looks to just be a stud. I listened to MLB today. They predicted him to be the rookie of the year this year. And like I said, if he produces like they're expecting him to, I mean, wow, seriously, that's a World Series offense. I'm not joking. And so it's real interesting. Now, here's the only problem. Like with a lot of farm systems like this, it's sort of top heavy. So the little bit that I read on down the list, there's really not much, but those 4 guys right there would be enough to make anybody be excited.
So Luis Robert hit a ball the other day. I don't know if you saw it or not, but he parked one. And he fell over. Like after he hit it, he like did a front
I did see
flip.
that.
Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
It was.
That looked like David Swor taking some hacks at Avondale. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Hey, DJ, I got a hilarious story. I think about this all the time. Remember, for some reason, we couldn't practice at Avondale our senior year. Not the whole year, part of the year. I don't remember why. They were doing something over there. And so we ended up practicing at this other field. I think it was over towards Rossville somewhere. And it was real short to right field. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
And old coach was like, now, whatever we do, you know, if you hit them out there, you got to go get them, or we had to run or something. And I don't know if you remember one time, we just, on purpose, just kept shooting homers to right field. Even me, which I wasn't a very good hitter, but we were just bombing those balls to right field, and coach was getting mad. Do you remember that?
Yes, and you're so right about it because he didn't want us to hit over there. So I was like, well, today's Oppo day. Bam, bam.
It was hilarious. Old Ben Foster was just cranking those balls.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was just easy for him as a lefty, just completely Donkey Kong and 400 footers because that kid could mash.
Oh, yeah.
That was trouble for every sense of the word. And yeah, we did do a lot of ball searching there that day for sure.
Poor coach. I feel so bad about it, but then I kind of don't. It was pretty fun.
I mean, he told us not to, so of course we're all gonna do it. You know, I mean, come on, that just opened the door for all that. So yeah. Oh man! All right, so my prospect, I'm gonna go with a homer again. This guy's been a big part of. He's going to be a big part of this bullpen, which we were talking about a little earlier. To see if he falls in the mix. Zach Birdie. Had to give some love to his brother Nick in our last show with the Pirates. The Birdie brothers are both major leaguers, and they're both from Downers Grove South High School, which I mentioned before is 6 miles from the high school that I coach at. Zach, he was a class of 2013, and he is just an absolute stud. He had 11 saves in the minors. 2-9 with a 4.31 ERA. He's yet to make the MLB debut. You know, his numbers aren't completely there yet. He's had some arm problems. John Parpet, who ended up being the coach at Plano, which is the high school that I went to. He coached both those guys from 2011 to 2013. Was a co-head coach at that school, so he had to go. He had the privilege of coaching both those studs. These boys are really good, man. Zach's freshman year, they were 31-6, 25-14 sophomore year, 24-13, and 30-8 in his 4 years there. They were 110-41. And that's in 4A baseball in Illinois, which is absolutely loaded. And you can be an absolute stud team with 2 MLB players, and all these guys did is win 2 regional titles. So that just goes to show you how hard it is, man. How hard it is to win here when you got 2 MLB players on your team. You had a great record, but you got 2 regional titles. So pretty cool, man.
Did you
know,
y'all
he's
get
20
close when
What's
you were in
that?
high school? Did you guys get close when you were in high school?
My senior year, we were the best team in my high school's history. We had some really, really good players. We were loaded. We broke school record for wins, made it to sectionals, and we ran into a wall there and just did not make it. But we were in the Sweet 16, Elite 32, so we were close. You know, not really, really close, but that was the best team that ever came through that school's history. So you know that was a lot of fun, and a lot of guys that we had on that team were really good. And one of the guys that stands out is Brad Korn, who was a 6'10" pitcher from the right hand side. He was a stud. He ended up going to Southern Illinois to play basketball under Bruce Weber, and also was Bruce Weber's assistant coach for all these years, just at Kansas State recently, and just got the head coaching job at Southeast Missouri State. So congrats to him on that. So he was our ace. We had a lot of studs on that team, and we were close, but we unfortunately ran into a tough situation in our sectional game, and our offense was unbelievable, man, and we just barely missed out. So Zach Birdie, you know, he's 25 years old, 6'3", 205, had Tommy John already in 2018, had a knee injury in 2019, so he's been set back a little bit. He could hit 100 sometimes. Now he's sitting about 95, 96, and he's got a slider too. So I really think that the White Sox are kind of hoping he would come in and be their closer, to be honest with you. They've been counting on him to be that guy at the end of the rotation. With all these injuries, I'm not sure if he'll bounce back ever again. But we'll see, you know. If you got a guy down there that you're thinking might be your closer, that's somebody to keep an eye on. So Zach Birdie, good genes in that for sure. So yeah, they can definitely do it. Go get her. Yep. So David,
I can't wait for this.
That time of year. So I've got a good one for you tonight.
I got a good one for you too, actually. I got 2 good ones.
You got 2 good ones. Perfect. Yep. Perfect. I'll go ahead and throw this one at you first.
Okay.
So this is your trivia question for the night. What team through the 1919 World Series against the Reds for money in a gambling scheme set up by Arnold Rothstein? This team also should have been permanently kicked out of the league. What franchise is that?
No comment. You know, I actually looked up Shoeless Joe the other day just because I literally knew nothing about him. Man, he was a stud, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Lindsey just brought him up before this show started and was talking about Shoeless Jackson. She was talking about how he was a big part of the Sox back in the day and was, you know, a part of that scandal too, obviously. Yeah. I'll never let White Sox fans forget that. Never. I mean, you guys threw the World Series. Just threw it away, you know, for money, and they should have permanently been banned out of the league.
It was 101 years ago.
That was 101 years ago, so that's something else. I don't know, man. That's something I won't let go away. I'll never let it go. So I don't know, man. I just had to throw that in there to kind of take a little shot at them all. But
you want mine before I give Nicole my question?
Yes, Nicole is down here, so you can give me mine first.
Yes. You know how I love me some saves and some relief pitchers. Who is the all-time White Sox saves leader.
Are you going reliever on me
Oh, man,
again?
I wanted to just spit right in your face.
David,
I
come
wanted to
on.
kick you while you were down.
Okay, for some reason, this sticks Hoyt Wilhelm.
Nope.
I don't even know if that guy's real, but
He's real. I saw him on some stuff. I don't know
Okay.
anything about him, but he's real.
I'm not completely off my rocker then. For some reason,
This
that's
is
the
the
first
guy
thing.
in your era.
Man, you and your stupid closer trigger. I gotta. Man. Man, I am not. This has got to be a '90s guy or something.
It is.
Got it, man.
You should know this.
I should know this.
You want me to tell you?
Yes,
Bobby Thigpen, 200
Bobby Thigpen.
career saves with the White Sox.
Oh, fail.
Epic fail.
Epic fail. You want to join us?
Come on in, Nicole.
Come on in.
I've been waiting all day for this. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Are you tired?
I'm very tired.
I imagine. We've been there. I get it.
You're cutting into my bedtime.
All right, I'll make this really quick. What former TTU baseball player and current Chicago high school coach coached for the White Sox? That is correct. DJ,
No!
major league opportunity, and there's proof for anybody that wants to see it. I'm gonna make this my screensaver on my phone for the rest of the week.
What are you doing to me? How do you block him out of there? How do you do that? What do you do there? Oh, come on. Come on. That was rough, man. That was rough.
Think about the experience. I mean, look, you look really excited in that picture. I mean,
He's pumped.
were there any major leaguers there? Did you manage to talk to any of them?
He did, actually. Who was there?
Oh, man. Dan Pasqua I worked with a lot.
Yes.
Remember old Danny Pasqua?
Oh, yes.
I worked with that guy a lot. So he's a good dude. He really is.
There's the admission right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
At the time of my life, I'm trying to forget. I was employed.
Oh,
by the
no,
White
you're
Sox.
not.
We'll never let him forget
That's
it.
a big deal.
Oh my goodness. So while we have her here, why don't we just give her a little question here about the 2020 White Sox? Are you excited as a fan about the 2020 White Sox?
Sure. Baseball. Why not?
It's better than the alternative.
Exactly. Not that I'll see any because he'll have the TV the whole time, but it's okay.
Well,
Tough
listen,
game to be on.
the White Sox are going to actually be more interesting than the Cubs in the future. So take that TV back.
I will. I've got 2 new ones that I can bring up as White Sox fans, so I'm good.
Oh no, you ain't getting my boy.
You've done well. So far, so good.
I'm working on it.
Oh man, yeah. So I mean, the White Sox fans, we were talking about this earlier. You guys are excited about your offense. There's no doubt about it. Who's your favorite White Sox player? You have a favorite?
I want to hear this.
Paulie.
Paul Konerko.
DJ, he's got a little bit of a Hall of Fame case. If you're putting Mark Grace in, Konerko had a great career.
He got chewed out. He didn't even last through the first ballot. They already kicked him off. And I was like, man, this guy's got 430 homers. That was awful fast to kick a guy off with 430 homers.
Yeah,
He's gone, man. So
I like Konerko back in the day. I was a fan. For sure.
I was a fan when he was with the Dodgers.
For what, 9 games?
Yeah.
His rookie year. Oh boy.
Yeah, so that was awesome, man. I'm gonna kick your butt for that, but I didn't know where you were going with that, man. I thought you were gonna be like, so Nicole, who won the 1995 AL MVP? Is it Frank Thomas or?
Oh no! I wasn't
what
gonna
you're
let
doing.
that go. No way.
Man. Oh my goodness. Well, we thank you so much
Oh,
for
glad to join.
joining us, and you made our night, man.
Yep.
Maybe we'll have more ratings since we got beautiful women actually joining the show tonight.
Exactly. Good job.
Our ratings need to go up instead of everybody looking at our ugly mugs all the time. So
We'll do whatever it takes, man. I
hear
tried
you,
my
man.
kids. We brought people from the outside. Now we're having to bring in your wife and daughter. So whatever.
Thank you, dear. We appreciate it. Thanks for kicking it in here.
Sure.
All right, so I got this one for you, and I already know your answer, but we're gonna just go with it anyway. Have you ever visited number 1, Old Comiskey, which closed in 1990, and number 2, the new Comiskey / U.S. Cellular Field / Little Caesars Pizza / Big League Chewing Gum Stadium, whatever they call that thing now since they changed the name 400 times. Have
Big
you
League
been
Chew
to either
needs a
one?
stadium, by the way. I would be all for a Big League Chew stadium.
Yeah.
They need one. I love me some Big League Chew.
That's good stuff, man. That really is.
No, I haven't been to either one. Comiskey, man, it kind of looked like a dump. Is that really how it was? It kind of, if I remember right, they actually had like a chain link fence in the outfield. Was that? Am I dreaming about that?
No, Comiskey was a dump, and you go up in the upper deck and fear for your life. I'm just being honest with you, man. You'd be like a straight look down slope. Scary, man. Scary. They had to rebuild that thing. To be honest with you, when they put the new ballpark up, they should have faced it towards downtown. I have no idea why they didn't do that. With the city in the background, would have been really cool. They did a lot of things good with that field. They've got a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, we go to probably more Sox games than we do Cubs games, simply because we have yeah, she said it. Go ahead and say it louder.
Cubs are more expensive.
Cubs are more expensive. That's just the truth. If you're going to go to a Cubs game and you got a family of 6 like we do, man, you're breaking the bank. So we kind of got to split it up. And if we're going to a Cubs game, just me and Devin or me and Lindsey or me and Nicole, just one at a time like that. But if we can all go to the south side and watch a game very cheap. We can park cheap. We can get food cheap. It can be a really cheap experience. And that I got to hand it to them for. They do a good job of being very fan friendly. There's no doubt about it. It's a cool field. I'm not going to lie to you. I like it a lot. It's a fun place to watch a game. We would go there, we'll look at their schedule and, 2 years ago, we saw Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers were coming. Kershaw was going to pitch. We're just like, hey, we're going to drive real quick, catch a game, $5. We sat up high, watched them. Me, Devin, and Lindsey did that once. And we'll do that every once in a while. We'll just say, hey, based off of who they're playing, sounds like a good game. We'll jump in and go. Because you don't really have to get tickets ahead of time like the Cubs, you really do. So it's cool from a lot of different experiences. I'll give them that. Normally, most of the time, I am rooting against them, but it's an experience, man. Like I told you before, you got to get there, man. You got to get there, and when you come up here, we got to take you. That'll be an easy one to get out of the way. And Lindsey, you got anything to add about the new field? What do you think?
Yeah. So
there you go.
My first time going to a White Sox game, it was actually with my whole family, Devin, mom, and dad, and so that was in 2016. So that was in June 2016. So I actually got to see the U.S. Cellular before it got torn down, and now it's called the Guaranteed Rate Field. So they actually changed it to Guaranteed Rate Field in November of that year. So if we would have gone then I probably wouldn't have been able to see the U.S. Cellular Field. So that was a cool experience.
Awesome.
Just a name change, not a building change on that one, but they do change the name a lot. So
right.
You could say you were there when it was U.S. Cellular Field. It's the same field, but the name changes so much. So when you go every time, it seems like it's a new name for the White Sox. And you could say, hey, I've been to U.S. Cellular when it was U.S. Cellular. I've been to, that they haven't changed the field since '90 when they blew up that old Comiskey, which was a dump, and turned it into the new Comiskey and changed the name a bunch. And so yeah, she's definitely been, and she loves it. She's got a lot of autographs. Tell them who you got last year in 2019.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. Listen to these two.
Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa.
Nice. Wow. You better hold on to that ball. You got.
Man, I
Hey,
don't know how
listen.
she does it. She's just unbelievable, man. And
We
that was
need to
when all the
get.
netting's up. The netting's up in these
Oh, that's right.
stadiums now, so it makes it a lot harder. But she got a spot where you can kind of open the door, and she stuck her ball through there, and they were all eating her up, man. So she did really
Awesome.
well. So this one I'm going to be interested in. Who's your favorite White Sox player of all time?
Well, this isn't my favorite player, but I'm just going to throw this out there because you know what a great hitter I was. So after I got home from Temple, I played in a men's baseball league. And one game, our team was the A's. I had to wear an A's hat. I mean, how terrible. But anyway, we played a team. Do you guys remember John Adkins, who was a starter for the White Sox for a minute?
Yes.
Well, he was pitching for him, and he was bringing gas. Just he wasn't out of the league very long. This was probably 2010, I'm going to say. And I'm pretty sure I must have closed my eyes and swung. But I hit a gapper. I hit a double off of John Adkins. So I was super pumped, man. I went home and said, hey, I got a hit off of a major leaguer. Check that out. But that's my little – he wasn't my favorite. So I really have always – even though he got beat up by Nolan Ryan, man, I was always a Robin Ventura fan. Even pre-Yankees, I was a Robin Ventura fan. And I'll have to say I always liked the Big Hurt. The Big Hurt, was he a Nike guy or a Reebok guy? I can't remember.
Reebok.
I was going to say, I remember wanting his shoes back in the day. He was a stud. I always wonder about him and steroids, if I'm being honest. He was just such a big, thick guy. But I don't know. Maybe that's just how he was built. But Frank Thomas, Hall of Famer, seemingly good guy, makes a good commercial nowadays.
Here, take this pill and it'll save your life. Save your life.
I'm going to go with Frank Thomas and Robin. Oh, I forgot where I was going with Robin Ventura. So Ernest can verify this. I wish he was here to verify this now. A guy in his neighborhood was related to Robin Ventura. And so one of the reasons I was always a big Robin Ventura fan, he had a yard sale one time. And I went over there and was looking through. He had some cards and stuff. And he said, do you know who that is? I said, yeah, it's Robin Ventura. I love Robin Ventura. And somewhere I have an autographed card of Rob Ventura's from that guy. Yeah, so pretty cool.
What? You gotta find that thing, man.
I need to find it. I have it somewhere.
Listen, Robin Ventura is statistically one of the greatest college baseball players of all time. He really is. I mean, look it up. If you see, he played at Oklahoma State, I believe, either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. I believe it's Oklahoma State. But he's kind of known for that, the best college baseball player ever. One of them, if not the. So you got to hand it to that guy, man. He was a great player. So yeah, you find that autograph, man, because he's the greatest of all time at something. So
yeah,
that's a good one, man.
Lindsey, who you got? Who's your favorite all-time White Sox?
Okay, so I actually have two.
And that's okay, because she's a White Sox fan.
We're good with that.
One in my lifetime and one that was back like in the 90s and the 80s. The 80s and the 90s. So there's Jermaine Dye.
Yeah.
He played right field, I believe.
Yep.
And I have Eloy Jimenez. So
Atta girl. We need that autograph this year. This is the year somehow, some way. We need Robert, Eloy. I mean, all these guys that'll be Moncada, they'll be Hall of Famers one day. We need those autographs. Make it happen.
No, they won't. All right, so that's a good one, Lynn. Jermaine Dye was a big part of their 2005 World Series title team.
I always liked Jermaine Dye as well. I liked him when he was at the Braves, too. He was a good player.
Pretty solid individual, had a great career. Mine is going to be Sammy Sosa. So
wait a minute.
That's the Cubs.
You always bash on Sosa. You're mean to Sosa.
What?
You never appreciated Sosa when you had him.
Well, I mean, he helped us beat the White Sox a lot, so I got to love him for that. Right?
I feel like that was very disingenuous.
So Sammy Sosa was traded for George Bell. George Bell ended up going to the White Sox, okay? And he, in 1992, hit 25 homers and 112 ribbies. Really good year.
Yeah.
1993, he hit 13 bombs and 64 ribbies.
Another.
Not very good. And then he was out of the league. And Sammy Sosa went on to hit 609 career home runs.
Steroids.
You don't give him credit for any of them.
Steroids. Steroids.
Steroids, all cork bat. I don't like him. He got his.
Exactly. So this is something here. So like, say if somebody's really good on the White Sox, just like, oh, steroids. So then what I have to do is I have to compromise. I have to be like, oh, he has steroids. You can't say that. He has steroids.
Oh man. So I'll give you
Terrible.
another one since you won't give me Sosa. I loved Aaron Rowan. That guy was awesome. That was my kind of player. Played center field. He would run into a wall. His face would bleed. He didn't care. I was definitely jealous of them having a center field like that. I wish he was a Cub. I'm it's very unfortunate that he had to play for the White Sox and the Giants in his career. Ugh, doesn't get any worse than that.
The Giants they're
yeah.
The White Sox, they're good. So
So I loved Aaron Rowan, man. I got to give him that. So, I'm going to go with Sosa, though.
I thought you were going to go with Dan Pasqua.
Danny
boy.
Pasqua was a good dude, man. Learned a lot from him, that guy. He taught me a few things about hitting, especially from that left side. Bam! The guy could mash.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely hit. Former teammates, maybe Donnie. I don't know. Did Donnie like the White Sox?
Man, I think there was a White Sox fan in there somewhere.
I don't think so, man. I really don't. Who you thinking then?
I'll have to think about that and bring that back. Was Smooch a White Sox fan?
Smooch was a Cubs fan.
Can't win them all.
Yeah.
So that's
a good bring up though, because he lived in Chicago for a little bit. So
yeah, okay. I probably mixed up. It might be Donnie. Donnie, if you're out there, it's an unsolved mystery. We don't know what happened to you. You're probably collecting Social Security by now. We're going to track you down, buddy.
We'll get him one of these days, man. We will. We'll figure it out. Well, unless you got something to add, I think this was a lot of fun. A lot of people have been looking forward to this White Sox one. You got anything to add?
I have something to add.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
The White Sox will be playing the Yankees at the Field of Dreams, right?
Oh, David, this is a good one for you.
August 3rd. So.
Is that still happening?
Wait a minute, though. Didn't they switch it? Are they doing
August 10th or something?
Is it?
Go ahead and ask your question. I think they switched that or something.
They did switch
that.
I think it's the White Sox and Cardinals now, isn't it?
Oh,
Well,
I don't think the Yankees are doing it. They were going to be in it, though. Yankees were going to do it, but they're not playing the Yankees this year anymore because AL East, AL Central, they're staying away from that. So it's going to be the Cardinals and White Sox. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask about the Yankees and stuff, how do you think that they were going to do against them, but they're not going to be in it, so
yeah.
Yankees are going to win the World Series this year. I'm just so convinced.
No.
I'm serious. It's going to be really good. So Montgomery, their number 5 starter, he pitched awesome the other day. They dominated the Mets twice. They struggled a little bit with the Phillies, but Yankees are going all the way, Linz.
Nope. I'd rather have the Cubs win than the Yankees.
Yeah.
Woo! I've been on your side this whole time. That's really disappointing.
All right. Well, thank you to our 4 White Sox fans who are going to watch this because that's the only total amount of fans that they have if you go to
Let's go White Sox fan. Watch this.
U.S. Cellular, Burger King Field, whatever they call that thing now, and you'll see about 22 fans there. So if you're going to watch this, you're pretty bored because you're not, there's not many White Sox fans. If we get 23 views on this, we've got all the White Sox fans and then some. So that's our goal to shoot for, is more than 23 views. I love you. Thanks for joining us tonight. This was fun. Hope you had a good time.
Yeah, totally.
Great job, Lindsey.
Thank you.
David, as always, man, it's been a pleasure. This was a lot of fun. 2020 White Sox. Third place, not bad though. We'll see.
Yep. Hey, 2 more days. We're watching baseball, buddy, for real.
Good stuff, man. Can't wait. That's for sure.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Take care.